Good morning. Hi, my name is Maeghan. Ouimet. I am an editor for the SmartVan, and I'm going to introduce these lovely folks to you. But before I do so, I'm just going to give you a little plug for my media property, which is the nice way of saying blog. And it's a blog about field service, which is super exciting to all of you, which is why you're here. And it is exciting and important, and I'm going to show you a slide of what our site looks like. There it is, beautiful, on mobile and on your desktop. So I'm a writer, and when I first interviewed for this job as an editor for a field service or online media property, my friends were like, really? But here's the exciting part about it. Everything that we cover is super important right now to field service and the technicians that read our blog. In the last 3 years that we've been up and running, our readership has grown enormously, and it's just been really exciting to see, you know, from folks that were using notebooks 3 years ago and now are online talking about their iPads and about the devices that they bring with them into the field. This is just a really innovative space, and we're really happy to be one of the only spots online that, you know, thought leaders come to and talk about this stuff. So please come join us, join the conversation. We have people from companies that come online and you know, talk about why it's important for them to maybe outsource field techs versus hire them full-time, or, you know, a cool tool that they've found and they can share with other companies. So it's just a really great atmosphere for a growing community, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. But that's it. I'll stop plugging in now. It's important because field service is on the rise. There are 5.5 million technicians in the US alone, and that's almost equal to the amount of sales folks there are in the US, which to me it means a lot, and it's something that we need to talk about. I think the sales folks got the technology bit pretty early on. Field service maybe a little bit behind, which is why I think this is important for us to talk about right now. Dreamforce talks a lot about service and sales, and field technicians are really bringing that together right now with the technology that these folks are going to talk to us a little bit about. And field service is also creating jobs. Almost 18% of all jobs created in the past year were in field service. And this integration of sales and service is bringing more revenue to the companies. So rather than a field service technician just going to someone's house and fixing what they need to fix, head down and leaving, now they're able to speak to the customer and really sell, which is super important to revenue. You know, now they have an iPad in front of them or a tablet that can say, you know, Mrs. Jones needed this fixed last week, and here's why, and they're just really equipped with the information that they need, which is something that before wasn't the case. I know even in the keynote there was someone that showed an interaction with Google Glass where the gentleman could actually send a photo of what he was trying to fix back to the home base and get information about the object that he was fixing, which before, you know, it would have taken maybe days to really have that conversation. So as this picks up, you know, customers are more impressed with the knowledge that this technology is giving people in the field. So right now, you know, we think this is a really great use case for mobile and enterprise. As I said before, I think most sales companies are sort of, you know, in 2.0 phase, and that's something that we're moving towards too, but right now is really when the change is happening, from notebook to iPad, from, you know, walkie-talkie to text message or intranet. So these three companies right here, Luminex, Topcon Medical Systems, and Coca-Cola Enterprises are three companies that have really, you know, transformed the way they do their business through these technologies. So they're going to share a little bit with you about that and how they do that. Our first presenter is Steve Nava from Luminex. Steve has a story about how technology, changed the entire company culture from sort of a, just go and do to a customer-focused way of doing business. So I'm happy to introduce Steve Nava, Director of Field Service for the Americas at Luminex.
Thank you. Thanks for ServiceMax for having me. I want to talk a little bit about Luminex. There I am. Luminex develops, manufactures, develops, markets innovative biological testing technologies with applications throughout the clinical diagnostics and life science research. That part, clinical diagnostic and life science research, is very important. We're an FDA-regulated environment, and the importance of documenting accurately in the tool is paramount, and we'll demonstrate that or talk about that a little bit later. We're based in Austin, Texas. We have 50 technicians globally using the ServiceMax app. We have a company about 700 with all our sales group and our service group, support group using the Salesforce.com and the Service Cloud applications. So it was time for a change. The reason we went to ServiceMax is service and support was not meeting our customer expectations, and we really weren't delivering what we thought we could deliver as the best product. We're using Oracle as our legacy system for field service. Now, Oracle is not a bad system. It works in accounting, it works in manufacturing, but it wasn't meeting the needs of the service organization. In fact, the field service module was trying to use a square peg into a round hole. It was cumbersome. It just did not work. We were looking for another tool that would help us get closer to our customers. And by closer to our customers, I meant for the entire company. Using our old legacy tool, Oracle, in field service, we knew exactly what we were doing. We knew we were doing our job. We knew we were taking care of our customers. But nobody else in the organization knew that or realized we were doing that. In fact, if there was a problem at a customer site, we knew it, and we knew exactly what the problem was. Unfortunately, our sales team, our orders team, our support team had no idea why the customer was calling and yelling their head off. But in field service, we knew. We just didn't communicate with anybody. So we had to get closer to our customers. The goal was a 360 view of our customer. That meant everybody who touched the customer, field service, technical support, sales, orders, everybody who might have touched the customer or had an occasion to talk to the customer knew what was going on at the customer event. That meant that when the field service engineer went in there and he noticed there was a problem, he would distribute that problem through chatter so that the sales group wouldn't walk in and try to upsell the customer only for the customer to say something wise. Well, that's great, but the device has been down for the last 4 days and you can't fix it. So in order to get a 360 view of the customer, we decided to go to ServiceMax on the Force.com platform. So in addition to using ServiceMax and Salesforce on the Force.com platform, like I said, we use SF.com for the sales group and the Service Cloud for the support group. And now we're all built on the same platform. All the information is exchanged. This is why ServiceMax ended up being the tool of choice for Luminex Field Service. So this is an important slide because now with ServiceMax and Salesforce.com, what has happened is at the ServiceMax level, on the iPad, the engineer is out there at the customer site working on a work order, realizes that there's some additional information that needs to be passed on. He now ties his chatter post to that work order, that individual work order. So now everybody in the company can look at that work order and realize this customer has this, this, and this problem. And when I say created a new culture, as I said before, we were not talking amongst the groups. ServiceMax gave us a tool to talk amongst the groups, and now that everybody sees the benefit of sharing information, the culture is shifting so that now my field service engineers are talking to the salespeople are talking to orders, technical support is talking to field. We all are now communicating, and it's really a culture shift that the tool enabled us to really bring on board. We delivered ServiceMax licenses to every salesperson, every field application scientist, every technical support person, so the visibility is there. Now the person going out to work with the customer on teaching them how to run a test can look at the service history. They can look at the orders history. They know if the customer's back ordered on supplies. They know if there's been increased activity at this customer site. Everybody is aware. There's no excuse for walking into the customer site and being blindsided. Between the tool and the culture, this is what's enabling me, my staff, our leadership team, our management team to be closer to our customers and engage with our customers. So the technology that powers field service. The ServiceMax tool enables a field service engineer to do everything from being scheduled with the call to completing the call. The call gets scheduled to ServiceMax via ServiceMax. The engineer pulls up his phone or his iPad, looks there, looks at his calendar, he accepts the call. If he's too busy to take the call, he presses reject, and it gets sent off to the next engineer, who on his iPad sees that this customer needs service, I'm going to schedule it, I'm going to contact the customer. Once they contact the customer, they document it in ServiceMax. Once they complete the call, they list their travel, materials, labor, and any other items that are required on documentation. And this comes back to our FDA-regulated environment. We have to be able to track every complaint from a customer from the time they phoned in until we completed resolution. So we schedule all of this in ServiceMax on the iPad. The engineer pulls out his iPad, documents it, presents the iPad to the customer to sign. Customer signs it with his finger, presses a button, and we email a soft copy of the report to that customer's email box or whatever email box that customer decides. Again, it's from the very start of service to the end of service. The only tool the engineer needs is his iPad. He whips out his iPad first thing in the morning. This is what I'm doing today. This is where I'm going. And he works on that all day. And then at the end of the day, everybody at Luminex knows what's going on with the customer. Again, the chatter tool is essential. The chatter tool enables the engineer to pass on to his colleagues, maybe this customer needs a little additional training to operate the system effectively. Maybe we haven't got their order there to the customer in a timely manner. Maybe there's an opportunity for the sales guy to look at, this customer, you might be able to upsell this customer to additional testing. Chatter is just a social tool that is essential for success. And the way to drive adoption is that management has to embrace chatter. I have to embrace chatter. I have to send out a couple of messages via chat every few days to give my staff and my team embracing chatter and using chatter effectively. So I would stress that if you're going to use a tool, embrace the chatter portion of it. It's going to really create dramatic change. Data and reports. So we launched on June 3rd, so we're a couple of quarters into using the tool and the ServiceMax tool. But we're already gaining some valuable metrics. For instance, I can tell you that for any particular call my engineer goes out to service a customer, it takes us 2.94 hours mean time to resolution. That is a metric out of ServiceMax. That is a metric that's available on my dashboard in ServiceMax that I can pull up and take a look and see where are we ranking. I can look at customer response times. How soon are we getting to the customer? Are we meeting contractual response times? And this is all the tool that when I bring up my iPad, I look at my dashboard and just see the health of the organization. So we're new to it and we're developing metrics constantly, and next year at this time I would hope that I could share a boatload of dashboards with you that I just don't have with me right now. Like I said, we're young users, but we're working our way down metrics, and we see metrics as playing a very important role in how we track the way we do business. The valuable regulatory data for reports and for customers. Our quality department, like I said, likes to look at audits and see this customer complained about this, how did we resolve it? We simply pull up the case in ServiceMax, Salesforce, Service Cloud, whichever tool you're in on your desktop, and the accessibility is there. We can trace that. We can provide an auditor with any information. The auditor comes in and says, I want to look at that one. We pull it up, everything from when the customer called in to we delivered the report. And again, the ServiceMax tool on my iPad, when I wake up in the morning, I don't go to my laptop to boot up. I don't run around looking at messages on my notepad in my back pocket or on the refrigerator. I open up my iPad and look at ServiceMax. ServiceMax has my calendar. ServiceMax has any events I need to attend that day. Jeremy's invitation to me this morning is on my ServiceMax calendar. When I opened it up, I couldn't miss it. Every day when he sent it to me, I couldn't miss it. So if you apply the tool correctly, you can start relying less on the bulky laptop and rely on your iPad. I ride along with my service engineers on calls, and I never see them break their laptop out. They pull their iPad and log into ServiceMax and start working. Mobility. So again, the iPad works both in a connected and disconnected environment. It's fully functional. This is something that is easy to see. It's hard to explain, but the pride of service. You now have an engineer out there. We're a high-tech company. We see ourselves as a high-tech company. And in the past, we're a high-tech company that it was time to talk to the customer and we had to write something on a piece of paper and have the customer sign. Now we use ServiceMax. The engineers take pride in presenting the iPad, even though it's not a brand new tool anymore, it's still a cool tool, presenting it to the customer for signature. I can see them on site when they say they have to go talk to the customer. They just have this spring in their step, kind of like a dog does when fall comes, ready to run. And he walks up there and he presents this and says, you know, this is what I did. Can you please sign here? As soon as we press this button, you'll have the report in your inbox. The report also goes to our system and logs against that ticket for regulatory purposes. We can track it through. So it's consistent with the Luminex brand. It's consistent with what we want to deliver, high-tech solutions. Lessons learned. Okay, I have 5 minutes to talk about lessons learned, and I could talk about this for an hour. Social key. Adoption starts at the top. My management team, my senior management engages, I engage all the way down to the service engineer, and everybody's talking in chatter. You can look at the ServiceMax or the field service portion of chatter, and you can see where 26 technicians in the United States use it regularly. It's the tool of choice. Email is dwindling, chatter is increasing. Remote monitoring and predictive service integrated with ServiceMax is our next step. We're looking at remote diagnostic tools, and we know that the holy grail of service is predictive service. Let's get there before it breaks. And then we can advise the customer why we're there. Increases value, increases uptime, and it impresses the customer. And frankly, we're probably a little behind the ball in remote diagnostics. Many other industries are there, and many other customers in our industry are there. And this is where we're playing a little catch-up, but we're going to get there pretty quick. Bring the technicians. This is really important. During the requirements portion, when you're thinking about bringing ServiceMax on board, once you've made your decision to do ServiceMax, bring technicians, trusted technicians who have feet on the ground to tell you what's right or what's happening in the field right now. I can't tell you how many times while I had privy to the large scope and knew where we started and where we needed to get, when I would say, well, let's do it this way, and a couple of my technicians would look at me and go, well, Steve, it doesn't really work that way in the field. Maybe back in the 80s when you were in the field it worked that way, but now it's the internet's here and it's around to stay, you might as well learn it. So bring those technicians in and let them help you decide what you need to do and what challenges they are facing. Very important to get rid of, we've always done it this way. You need to leave your comfort zone. Just because you're doing it now doesn't mean it's right. It might be wrong. I myself was a proponent of doing many things that I now know are wrong or were wrong, and we've corrected it. But get that mentality out of the room. Get people who want to think and move forward while meeting all your business requirements. That is key. Make sure you do that. And then trust the experience of the ServiceMax resources. The professional services group at ServiceMax came to us, and we would talk to them and tell them what we needed. I would say, I need this, I need this, I need this, and they would ask why. And I would explain it, and they say, okay, we understand, but there's a better way to do it. And be open to that idea. Be open to trying it. Be open to listening to it. If it doesn't work for you, it won't work, but at least be open to the fact that you're working on one implementation, your staff might have been associated with 10 or 15 companies that have done it different ways. These guys have done in excess of 300, 400. Dave, I don't know how many, you're 300. So they've seen 300 different examples And don't be so naive to think that out of that 300, you are already doing it the best. There's other people out there who are probably doing it better and can help you. And ask for everything you need. I have a group of colleagues here that are on the IT side who had to digest all the requirements I had, and they found a way to deliver 95, 96% of those requirements, even though when I first said them, they looked at me like I had 3 heads on my shoulders, and it seemed like a far-fetched idea. But between the professional service group at ServiceMax and our internal staff, they plowed through and found a way to deliver the tool that we thought we needed. And the proof in the pudding is Luminex service, along with the support group and now the communication with the sales group, we have improved to where we're just not part of a service team that goes to our customer site. Our customers actually enjoy seeing us when they have to and doing business with us. And I think that's my last slide. I'm turning over to Gary.
So I'm the IT guy here. So by show of hands, how many consider yourself service leaders? Service leaders? Okay. IT professionals? Okay. None of the above? Okay. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Gary Yantsos. I'm the IT director for Topcon America Corporation, and I'm currently overseeing technical operations and strategy for the medical division, which is based in Oakland, New Jersey. We manufacture, support, and distribute diagnostic equipment for the ophthalmic or eye care industry, and this is equipment that helps diagnose disease of the eye. And we're about 80 million in revenue right now and growing. Our customers are predominantly private doctors, clinics, and hospitals in North and South America. And if there's ever a problem or a question out in the field, an initial call comes into our help desk, which is staffed by about 30 engineers. And if the issue can't be resolved at the first contact, what we do is we dispatch 1 of 5 field technicians out to that location. Now, some of those repairs can be done on site or can't be done on site. So in some instances, that instrument may have to be shipped back to us in Oakland for a repair. And we'll also provide a loaner if necessary. From there, we will check entitlement, contract status, and provide an estimate for the repair if that's necessary. And so just to give you an idea of the scope of what we support, we have support for about 8,000 unique locations around North and South America, and we're tracking about 200,000 serialized items right there in ServiceMax. So about 1.5 years ago, we were in the same boat as many of you are in right now. We were pretty much stuck with a god-awful legacy client-server app, and we had manual processes and things like that. Don't get me wrong, this client-server app, it served us pretty well for a number of years, but it was very rigid, and it prevented us from scaling the way that we really needed to. It was just another non-integrated silo of information that provided us with limited visibility on parts and warranty costs, and we had manual checks for contracts and entitlements, and it all led to a fair amount of warranty leakage. We were losing some loaners along the way too. What we wanted to do is lower administrative costs, increase service, and maybe gain a little bit of service revenues and increase SLAs. So we had a hard time determining entitlements for service. Essentially what we were doing is giving away free service, and that's always a problem. So what we knew that we had to make radical changes in the way that we provide service to our customers. We needed to get in front of these issues before they occur, and we needed to become a world-class service provider. Many of the processes that were in place were done that way for so long, employees just accepted them. So as uncomfortable as it was for some to change, we knew that we needed to make a fundamental shift in the way that we provide service. Let's face it, your service organization is the face of your company. Your customers are more savvy and connected than ever before, and they expect great service because service is the big differentiator. We knew that our service organization had the potential to gain top-line revenue, but how do we elevate the level of support that we provide to our customers? Really anticipate their needs and change from a reactive mode to one of a more proactive nature. We needed innovation and scalability, and we knew that moving our service operations to the cloud was a large part of the answer. As part of our due diligence, we considered our marketing department's attempt to implement Salesforce without any IT involvement. They purchased a bunch of licenses, and they logged on, and they really didn't understand the power and potential of the platform. They weren't talking to other departments, and they were also operating in a silo. At the time, they were just using it to capture lead information from the web, and they had a lot of difficulty with adoption. No one really saw the value. In fact, our CEO wanted to stop paying for Salesforce licenses altogether because seemingly no one was using them. What I saw was an opportunity to build on that platform and turn it into a unified, collaborative platform to get our company out of these silos and start to talk. So I had this crazy idea to back into a Salesforce implementation from the service end. So I left marketing alone for a while, and I focused on the due diligence for our service platform. The system that we decided to implement is ServiceMax, and it was the clear winner for us, not only because it's built on the Salesforce ecosystem, but because it represents one of the few products that has a comprehensive service framework. And we had the ability to tune it to make it relevant to our business. These guys know the business. They really get field service. So for us, it was about moving away from rigid systems that held our business hostage and towards a platform that could scale and change along with the changing needs of our business. Even though we make ophthalmic instruments, at the end of the day, we're a technology company. So customer perception means a lot. If we put our techs, one of our techs on a plane, and they're at a customer location, they need to have all the relevant information at their fingertips. With the ServiceMax iPad app, our techs are able to tap into resources that they never had the opportunity to tap into before. Case history, a warranty information, parts list. They're able to collaborate with engineers back at Topcon headquarters to help them fix the problem. They're able to generate an estimate right there on the iPad app and have the customer sign it right on the iPad and send them a copy in real time. Having that ability speaks volumes about customer loyalty and satisfaction. Not to mention that we're back in headquarters. We know exactly what's going on, when it happened. We see the repair record, the estimate, the signature, everything synchronized back to the ServiceMax record. That's really, really awesome. Almost immediately, we were looking at significant productivity gains. We don't have to get administrative staff to piece together bits of different information from different systems. And over time, we started to see some interesting things happen. Even more of those legacy, bad, processes started to surface. We started to find that there's some better ways to do things. And when you have a system that you can actually make changes to pretty easily with limited IT staff, we had the opportunity to steer the ship in a different direction. Now we're starting to get in front of these issues before they occur. we have so much more visibility into our operations, and we're able to identify potential problems and get in front of these issues before they occur. We know how profitable our contracts are, and we can track cases from the call center through to depot repair and all the way out to the customer site in a single unified system. And we've seen productivity gains of over 30%. What I was hoping would happen actually did happen. And this holistic adoption started to happen. Okay? Service started to share information with engineering and sales. And we're starting to gain insights on potential leads. And those same executives, the C-level executives that wanted to kill those licenses, they're asking for ServiceMax reports now. So service is actually passing lead information directly onto marketing. And most importantly, our customers are getting better service than they ever have before. So now that this system has been in place for a while, these walls are starting to come down, and real collaboration is starting to take place. And innovation is starting, and we've accumulated a gold mine of information, and we actually have meaningful data at our fingertips. And we can start to make some critical business decisions based on that data. And let me give you an example. While the initial benefit was exposing business processes and gaining efficiencies, at some point I had this aha moment. Our field team is pretty small. In some cases, we'll have to put them on a plane, fly them clear across the country, out to a customer site to repair a product. We need to make the best use out of their time as we possibly can while they're there. So now we've given our team access to additional tools coupled with ServiceMax. So when they're there at the customer site, they can define a 20-mile radius around them and see that there's an account with a service contract that's going to expire, and it's only a few miles away. They can see that there's a high-priority case that may be in the next town over. They can visit that customer that's called 3 or 4 times in the past month for the same instrument. And they could shoot a lead over to marketing based on an observation that there's a competitor product at that location. And all this is available by using ServiceMax and leveraging the Salesforce ecosystem. Here's another example. I've got over 380,000 product warranties that I need to keep track of. 380,000. In fact, I can tell you right now that I have 1,800 warranties and service contracts that are going to expire this month. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much warranty that represents, but it's significant. And I've never had that visibility before. And now I can actually do something about it. So we're recognizing more opportunities now for cross-sell and upsell, and we're no longer losing parts and writing off dollars that we should be billing our customers for. We're actually a unified team, and we're sharing data. And we've turned our service operations into a revenue generator, and we've increased revenues by over 10%. So I'll leave you with this. If you're thinking about making a field service technology investment, think about what transformation means to you. To me, it meant a cultural shift in the way that we do business, and always questioning why things are done the way they are. Change is a little uncomfortable for everyone, but if you have the support of your teams and look for champions in the business, you can win too. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Lesley Morgan from Coca-Cola Enterprises. She's going to explain a little bit about how her company utilized an iPhone in mobile development at their company to increase customer service and revenue.
Thank you. Okay, great, thanks. So thanks for having me here today. Thanks to ServiceMax and thanks for Salesforce. And I'd like to take you through a little bit about how we at Coca-Cola Enterprises have really built the foundation to enable our field service organization to differentiate going forward. Okay, So just a little bit about who we are at Coca-Cola Enterprises. We actually have a very interesting business model. We operate in Western Europe, although our headquarters are based in Atlanta, Georgia. So in Atlanta, we have approximately 100 to 150 employees. All of our operations, so the rest of our 13,000 employees, are based in Western Europe, primarily in the UK, France, Benelux region, and the Nordics, Norway and Sweden. Our company is $8.1 billion in revenue, and we bottle and distribute Coca-Cola products, which we purchase the syrup from the Coca-Cola company. Okay. So again, just a little bit about what we do. We produce the Coca-Cola, we distribute it to the market. We sell service and merchandise. And so obviously what I'll be spending a lot of time here is talking about is what we do within our service organization. So just to delve a little bit deeper into equipment service at Coca-Cola Enterprises, we have 6,000 pieces of equipment located across all of our different territories. We have approximately close to 650 service technicians who go out on a daily basis and fix those machines. We'd like to get to a position that those machines aren't breaking, but I'm sure you guys have all approached a Coca-Cola machine that wasn't working before. So in our territories, we have each BU has a call center, and those call centers are receiving the inbound phone calls from the customers, our customers being the store owners and consumers as well. And those service technicians answering the phones route the calls to our technicians using ServiceMax. We also have 6 cold drink centers, which are where we distribute our spare parts and refurbish our equipment. And then we also have our spare parts logistics organization. So what we were looking to do with ServiceMax, actually initially, we wanted to use our legacy application and optimize service technicians, so through a dynamic dispatching type application. As we started looking into what options were available for us, we found that what made the most sense for us was to replace our legacy application and really build a solid foundation for us to be able to optimize more effectively. Just to talk to you a little bit about our digital strategy at Coca-Cola Enterprises. We really are focused on growth, and how we are going to achieve that growth is really through driving people and consumers and products to Coca-Cola Enterprises. We are working on how we can reduce costs in order to fund that growth. And then really about creating opportunities for our customers to engage with us. And through all of that, and primarily building on what we've done in field service, we're really able to deliver our growth strategy from a digital perspective at Coca-Cola Enterprises. And now if I can just take a moment to explain to you our device strategy. Over the next year and a half, we're really focused on making sure that our employees are mobilized. And that goes from the top all the way down to what we're discussing here today, our field service technicians. So really focused on how can we use iPads, iPhones, tablets to mobilize our technicians and our field sales agents. If you take a look at the way our organization's broken down, we have a lot of feet on the ground, and the majority of our operations is really people in the field working day to day with our company. So we want to be able to put those workers, make them mobile, make them fully connected, and give them devices that make them the most effective that they can be. So I mentioned to you earlier a lot about how we were looking to optimize our service technicians and really decrease what you see here, the yellow, the drive time. But as we started looking into the solutions that were available, we really saw an opportunity to focus more on that administration time and look at how we can make sure that the technician, when he arrives at a site, he's not spending time with paperwork, but more focused on just capturing the information that he needs to capture and having the right dialogue with the customer. So just a little bit about our legacy application. It was a Windows-based, PC-based application, so every single time a technician started his day, he'd have to boot up his computer, connect to Wi-Fi, connect to the VPN, connect to his application, download his work for the day, and that would be about it. He would start his work, do his work, and then at the end of the day, maybe come back and update the application. It wasn't a situation where we were able to capture real-time information as the technician was doing his work. So that puts us in a position, obviously, where the call center agents have no indication of where a technician is at any given time during the day. And so what we really wanted to look at was how can we really get rid of all of this, get rid of the paper, get rid of the connectivity issues, and make a process that provides visibility to our call center agents so that we can give better customer service to our customers. That's really when we started looking at ServiceMax. And so just to give you a little bit of insight to a day in the life of a service technician, the way we have them working today, they typically, so just to back up a step, we're using the iPhone, which is a bit different than what you've heard from the two previous stories. What we found as we started looking at the devices that we wanted to enable our technicians with was that with an iPad in the industry that we're in, going into schools, going into stores, if a technician were to bring an iPad in and set his iPad down, typically it's a high likelihood that it would walk away. So we wanted to give them a device that they could simply do their work and put it in their pocket. And I'm sure if all of you are working in the service industry, you also know these service technicians are typically carrying parts, toolkits, all of these other, I mean, their hands are full. So they don't have an extra space to carry an iPad. So as we started looking at it, we really realized the iPhone was the right solution for us. And so we were able to leverage the Salesforce Classic app and ServiceMax in order to build the right solution for our technicians. So typically, a technician will just start his day with a quick timestamp to identify that he's working. He'll look at what work orders are associated to him for the day. And then the rest of the work that he does is mostly just timestamps. So he'll dispatch the work. He does a quick timestamp, the status updates on the work order. He drives to the site, and he does a timestamp to indicate that he's there. This provides real-time visibility to our call center. So as a next step to putting our technicians on ServiceMax, we also implemented our call center on Salesforce so that, again, they have real-time visibility over what our service technicians are doing at the time that they're doing it. So they arrive on site, they do the work that they need to do. We have full parts logistics in ServiceMax, so the technician has inventory visibility, real time, and he also can order parts and receive parts into the system. So he'll do the work on the machine. If he needs to use a part, he has the ability to see within his inventory if he has the part available. He doesn't have to go back to his van and look for it. And then at the end of the work, he'll put in some meter readings, some information that we capture about the equipment or the work that he did, and then complete his work, close the job, and move on to the next one. And then he obviously just repeats this cycle throughout the day, and then at the end of the day does a job, end of day timestamp and goes home. So there's no going home and then finishing your day. So everything's done, captured live. Just a little bit about the solution that we built. Again, I mentioned that we're using the iPhone. We have an always-on, always-connected strategy. Obviously, in the situation that the technicians are in, they encounter situations that they are out of connectivity. So that's what using the Salesforce Classic app enabled us to be able to have offline capabilities. So I think it's probably pretty obvious with the iPhone. They're always on, always connected, always able to see their work. If any high priority or high ticket items come in, they know about it immediately. And then we are fully integrated with our backend system, SAP. So every single thing that every work order or case that's created goes back to SAP. When the job's closed, it also goes back to SAP. We're doing all of our financial and billing transactions out of SAP still. So where did that get us? So we have now 700 service technicians live on ServiceMax. We deployed the solution in about a year and a half across all of our territories. and it took us approximately 4 months to build the solution. What we've realized is a 50% savings in administrative time. So again, going back to what we've talked about, booting up the machine, connecting to VPN, doing all of those things on a regular basis has got us down in administrative time. And I think the next slide shows you what we're able to do as a result. So the number of jobs that the service technicians are able to complete on a daily basis has drastically increased due to that decrease of administration time. And if I could go into a little bit about our second objective. So what are we going to do with that extra time? And what we're really looking at is the equipment that we service traditionally in our model is our own equipment. So we own the equipment, we service it for free for our technicians, or for our customers. What we've realized is that while we're at McDonald's fixing their fountain machine, because we have the expertise, we have the opportunity to fix some adjacencies. So maybe a fryer or a sundae machine or any of the equipment that the McDonald's has on site. So really looking at how we can grow into other areas, adjacencies, through selling our services. And this really just goes into the engagement from our technicians. There's been a lot of very valuable feedback that's come from them, but the underlying message is that they all really love the system. It's really taken them to a completely different level and allowed us to lay that foundation to differentiate. Building this application really puts us in a position to move a lot faster with these service technicians and their growing needs. And then they also use chatter a lot, and that was something that we didn't really anticipate or really push out to them, but they found the uses for it, and they're able to, I think what we've actually seen is that the number of tickets that come to IT from a help desk ticket support issue perspective have really decreased because they're able to help each other through chatter. And I think that's everything I have for today. Thanks.